Unbuttoned podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Julie.
Join us for unbuttoned and unedited conversations.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Suspenders Unbuttoned podcast. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Julie, and we're excited to welcome Jake Jensen to the podcast. Welcome, Jake.
Welcome, Jake.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, we're glad to have you. It was fun to get introduced to you and to, set this up. So thanks for being here. We can't wait to get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm excited to be here.
Perfect. So tell us about, you were recently in Challengers and you played Finn Larson. So tell us a little bit about your role as Finn and the film in general.
Yeah, I have a background in tennis. I was a collegiate tennis player. I played at Utah State and then I played on the Challenger circuit, which is kind of the minor leagues of the tennis tour. Yeah. So when I got this audition, I was obviously super stoked to be able to audition for a role that I know that world really well. And I also got to play Finn Larson's a Scandinavian tennis player, which is my background being Danish. So it was really cool because I had like the Danish thing going and the tennis, I already had the tennis part down and auditioned and hadn't heard anything for a couple of months. It's one of those, you kind of put it out of your mind. And then I remember I was actually flying to go see my parents and I got a call from my agent that I had booked the role. And so really fun film to be part of because it's great to see like some more tennis movies, but it was so much more than just a tennis movie too. I think it really, really great experience and it did well. Critics liked it and it's been pretty popular. So good times.
Yeah.
That movie stars Zendaya and Josh O'Connor.
Yeah.
And is a feature film that we can find in a variety of spots at this point in time. So your character, is he a vanilla character? Is he got a little dimension to him? Tell us a little bit about Finn.
There were more scenes than actually got, in the final edit, which is obviously
it always is.
A lot of times those smaller roles. But he's basically the kind of trash talking player that, is trying to get in other players' heads and any psychological advantage he can get. So, he makes, comments like nice match to Josh O'Connor's character, just trying to get into his head. And ultimately they end up playing in the semifinals of the tournament. And some of that stuff didn't make it in the final edit, but even you see Zendaya's character looking up Finn Larson's record and she's scouting, doing a scouting report. And so I've definitely seen guys like him on the actual tour that, will do anything they can to get into your head as an opponent. And so I thought they did a good job of capturing what is often like out there. And it's such an international tour. You get players from all over the world playing these tournaments. So I thought they actually did a really good job capturing that, just the international dynamics of the pro tennis circuit.
Right. So do you think that you mentioned you've seen this in, when you were playing in these tournaments. So did you kind of pull from those experiences or maybe things that you saw happening around the locker room and put that into Finn?
Yeah. It was probably one of the easier auditions I've done in the sense that it was like, okay, this world I totally get who this guy is. Not necessarily a bad guy, but it's cutthroat out there. These guys on the Challenger circuit are not making a lot of money. They're paying cheap hotels or getting, families to host them. And so I guess I understood where some of his behavior was coming from. So that made it really easy to not be judgmental of it, but to go, okay, this guy, yeah, he's kind of puts a bravado on, but at the same time, he's either older player, just trying to still kind of make a living out there doing it, and seeing these younger guys coming up, you're threatened and you're challenged by that. So I think it just made it easy to connect to the character because I understood where this guy's coming from.
Right.
Did you get to showcase some of your tennis skills while making the movie?
I didn't. I wanted to. We shot at a tennis club, and they were working with some of the like I guess stunt doubles that were tennis
Mhm.
players were UCLA players, so they were out there hitting, and I wanted to get out there, but it it's a big movie set, so they're
Right.
very careful. But I certainly
Mhm.
got to talk a lot of tennis with. They had Brad Gilbert, who's a big tennis coach for
Mhm.
pro players, was there, and got to sit with him for hours and just chat. And so it was cool. I certainly felt like surrounded by tennis, but I didn't actually get to play on set.
But that brings you a comfort level to allow you to do your acting, though, right? Like you're comfortable in the environment.
Totally. And even on the van ride over for one day on set, I taught Josh O'Connor what a tie break was, which if you've seen the film, it comes down to like a final tie break that he plays against Mike, Face character. And so he didn't actually know what a tie break was. So I felt like I did my job there, teaching him what that was.
Love that. So speaking of teaching and other background, you also have a PhD in sports psychology, and we're a professor of sports and performance psychology. So tell us a little bit about that part of your background, and then how did that lead you into the film industry?
Yeah, when I finished my PhD, I didn't get a job right away. This was like 2012, and I had done a little bit of modeling and then some commercial work when I was in grad school just to help pay for my PhD. But I didn't get a job right away, and so I moved to Miami like the day after I finished my PhD, and immediately booked a big Fiat commercial with Pitbull and Charlie Sheen. And I was like, oh wow, this industry is easy. And then didn't book anything for a long time, but it kind of got me that bug of, oh, I love being in the entertainment industry. And then I got a job at Cal State Northridge, which is in the LA area. And when I moved in 2014 to LA, I just thought, okay, this is the time if I'm going to do this to really pursue it. And so signed up for acting classes, workshops, and it's been a 10-year journey, and I feel like it's still going. But I've been fortunate to be able to balance both my job as a sports psychologist as well as an actor, and for the most part, I've been able to balance both of them and continue to do so.
Do you feel like the sports psychology piece brings you a lot of things that you can actually apply to acting and being on a set?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in a lot of aspects of acting, auditioning is very similar to like trying out.
Right.
Learning to bounce back from losses. In sport, most athletes are not winning all the time, and how do you take that as not as a failure? And same thing as an actor. You might audition for 30 roles and not book the role. How do you still look at that as from a growth, mindset and perspective? Okay, what am I still accomplishing? Well, how am I growing as an actor? And I think a lot of the resiliency that I learned as a tennis player has helped me as an actor, and just realizing there's going to be plateaus, there's going to be highs and lows, and not to let that defeat you, but to bounce back from it and to figure out ways to keep learning and moving forward. So I definitely think there's been a lot of parallels, and even actors now come to me with questions about like, how can I manage anxiety I get when I go into the audition room. And a lot of actors were fully self-taped for all through the pandemic, and now they're sometimes going back in the room and they're like, oh my gosh, I haven't been in the room with casting for like 2 or 3 years. How can I manage that stress and that anxiety? So for myself, I apply that, but also more and more find that I can work with other actors on some of those skills. And it's been cool to like be in it as an actor, but also to be able to use my sport and performance psych training to help others in that going through the same things.
Yeah, that sounds like a great perspective. I know, I have a daughter who dances and does things, and Julie can relate to this. And a lot of times you have to have those big conversations. Well, you can't look at it like a loss, but you look at it like as another kind of stepping block or a way to grow. So I love that perspective. Can you tell us about a time that you used that kind of in your own life? Like maybe you went to an audition that just really went badly, or you didn't get a role you really wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I've learned over the years to apply the sports psych training more and more to being an actor, and I feel like that's been a process. So I don't necessarily always remember like one specific audition, but I just
Mhm.
know, after a few years, and it was like I kind of used myself as a case study example. I was like, okay, I'm definitely walking into the room now with casting, feeling much more grounded and much more confident, and I've got some techniques and routines, even just taking some deep breaths, visualizing what the audition experience is going to be like. My very first audition in LA, my cell phone actually went off in my pocket during, it was for a commercial, and I thought, well, that's welcome to LA, and I like totally bombed my first audition. But quickly, just I think LA forced me to apply some of the stuff because I didn't have as many credits as a lot of actors. I didn't have the background. I spent my college years as a collegiate athlete, not doing theater or film and TV. So I think I had to go, okay, what do I bring to the table? Because I don't have the 20 years of background in acting that some of these other actors have, but I do have other things that I can bring to the table. And I think that I continue to think that way now.
Mm.
So that's a long-winded answer, but I don't remember like one specific audition,
Right.
but I definitely feel like it's been a
A
process
process.
of applying it.
So you were recently in Challengers, and you've done lots of other works. But you're talking about being a college athlete and a PhD and an instructor at a college, at a university. How did you decide I'm going to be an actor?
It's really interesting. When I graduated from college, I had really never done any acting. I had, a couple of plays when I was young and things, but then I got super into tennis when I was about 10, 11 years old. And then that, became my main focus all through my teenage years in college. But I had an English professor who was a real mentor of mine. And I remember he took me out to lunch after I graduated. And he said, I don't want you to answer this out loud, but if you could be anything, what would it be? And the first thing that popped in my mind was actor. And I don't know where that came from. I don't know, because that's not really anything that I had ever pursued. And I couldn't get it out of my mind. But I wasn't ready to like admit that to anybody. And so I coached tennis for a while after college. I got my master's degree, and then I applied for my PhD program, moved to Tennessee, which is not exactly an acting like hub, but it was still in my mind. And at some point I finally thought I've got to do something about this. I don't want to be 70 years old and regret that I never tried it. And that's where for me, like the commercial world was a nice place to start. I had done a little bit of modeling just to help pay for school. But then LA was like, okay, this is, I have to be really serious about this. This is not a place where you can survive if you're not really serious about it. But I think, it's just that was in my mind ever since I had lunch with that professor, that acting is something I want to pursue. And I finally had the courage to admit to other people and to admit to myself that it was something that I was willing to put myself out there and try it.
What do you think it is about acting that is so fulfilling for you? I mean, you've certainly had plenty of other passions and career paths. So what is it about acting that kind of like fuels the fire?
I've always needed a creative outlet. I'm also a pianist. Music is part of that for me, but acting definitely fulfills a creative need for mine. It also gives me a natural high that it's not the same as playing like a big tennis tournament, but it's still, there's an energy and a natural kind of high that comes from it. And it's hard to describe, but there's just being on set and performing, it fulfills a need that I have, and it probably is somewhat related to the need I have as an athlete to also be competing and performing. But I feel like acting definitely gives me, I need that. Even talking about it now, I haven't been on set for a while, and it's like I need to be on set soon, because there's an energy and an excitement to it that I definitely would miss if I didn't have that.
Yeah.
That crossover of the athlete performance theater, that's definitely a crossover. And, I see it in friends that have done similar things, that it's that engagement. And one of my friends once said, it's the always lifting the bar for myself that, it makes me feel great. And I love that you have those creative energies way prior to this. Piano playing. Would you ever like to do that on screen?
Yes, I would. And I'm actually writing a two-person show right now that it was actually in college. I became very good friends with a Holocaust survivor.
Okay.
And my friendship with her prompted me to compose a piece basically for her. It was very interesting. That friendship actually, and hearing about her experiences of growing up and being in a Holocaust when she was a young, like 13, 14-year-old girl, it was interesting. Like, I had these images in my mind that just prompted me. I remember sitting down after one meeting with her and just starting to play an original composition that was completely came out of the stories that she was sharing with me. And I've always wanted to do something with that. So I'm writing this two-person show right now where it'll be my character and her character, but then scenes where I go home and play. So I'll be performing on the piano on stage as well as the conversations with her. So it's early stages, but Stan Zimmerman, was a writer on Golden Girls, and I'm a friend of his. He suggested that I do it this way, and really excited to. I don't know exactly when we'll put it out there, but hopefully next year sometime. So that's going to combine acting with piano playing, and then I'll be playing this original composition throughout the two-person show. So that's something that I'm getting very excited about.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Actually, this is the theater experiences that we both like. That sounds like an incredible story to tell through words and music. Just brings so much depth to the storyline.
Yeah, and when I actually met Perry Bodner, was the name of my friend. She actually came up to me in the library and sat down next to me and started speaking to me in Swedish. And I had no idea what, this, 85-year-old woman just started talking to me in Swedish. And I remember going, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't understand what you were saying." And I guess I looked exactly like the prison guard or the Swedish when she was released after the Holocaust. She went to a Swedish guard was one of the ones that freed her from the concentration camp.
Wow.
And I guess I looked so much like him that it like transported her back to that. And so she actually that's why she was speaking to me in Swedish, and her native language was Hungarian. So that's going to be kind of the opening scene of the two-person show. And then it'll develop the relationship from there. But I think it's going to be a powerful piece to show.
Sounds like an amazing story.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it.
I mean, gosh, I mean, imagine just sitting there in the library and now like you meet this woman and now all of a sudden you're writing her story.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's definitely a little bit intimidating, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready to do this. So.
And the way she came up to you, it's just like she was called to you, like you were the person who was supposed to tell the story.
Yeah. We actually met at Barnes and Noble every week for 2 years, and she basically shared everything with me about her experiences, and it was a really, really transformative experience. So I feel like this is a way to honor her as well, which means a lot.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's incredible.
That is incredible. Well, we look forward to you sharing information about that play and your piano playing besides.
Definitely. So tell us about Believe.
Yeah, Believe's a labor of love, definitely. I don't even know what genre to call it. Romance, fantasy. Basically, my character Jason is a veteran of Afghanistan. Saw a lot of death and horror over there. Comes back from the war, gets referred to a therapist who he ends up falling in love with. so that part, the first half of the movie is kind of your, love story between the two. The wrinkle in that is that he falls in love with his therapist, who happens to be Eve from the Bible. So
Oh,
there's
Here's
no
the fantasy part. Yes.
there's no mention of Eve in the Bible ever dying. So it's kind of based on this theory that she never died and has been kind of an angel almost, for thousands of years helping people. And but she's never fallen in love with one of the people she helps until Jason. So the second half of the movie is really the dynamic, not only figuring out their relationship, but she's immortal, he's mortal. Really is interesting script. The writer worked on the script for about 14 years.
Wow.
And Fred Copeland. And so I worked with him on another project, and he's like, I think you would be great for this role. Would you read the script? And I read the script, and I was really intrigued by it, and ended up becoming an executive producer on the film. Lots of work, just scouting locations, keeping actors engaged, putting schedules together. I mean, we were working on fairly low budget, but I think I'm proud of what we were able to accomplish from lots of hard work and dedication and people that were great in terms of volunteering locations and resources. So we're hoping for a release within the next month or two. It'd be great like for Christmas, but we're in post-production right now, and then looking at distributors and possibly, obviously we would like to have a premiere in LA, possible on a film festival circuit. We're throwing options around right now,
right.
But I'm keeping my fingers crossed it'll be within the next 2 months.
Okay, so we'll need to be watching for information on when Believe will be released.
Yes, I will let you know.
Yeah.
Is this the first thing you've been a producer on?
Yes, and it was a great experience. I'm not ready to switch over to being a producer instead of an actor, but I definitely learned an enormous amount. And I think a lot of the stuff I learned will actually then help me with this 2-person show, and just know I'm actually pretty good at it. I think a lot of my training just as a sports psychologist and managing people and working with people honestly helped a lot with it. Mm-hmm. But having both hats as a producer and one of the lead male actor in it. I mean, I just remember some days, I didn't even have time to rehearse my lines because I was wearing the producer hat, and then I jump on set and have to immediately flip into actor mode. And I remember my mom a couple times seeing some clips and stuff, goes, "You look terrible." I'm like, "Thanks, Mom."
Moms, they're unfiltered, aren't they?
Yeah, she's like, "You really look tired." I'm like, "Well, thanks. I'm doing the best I can." So, I have an enormous respect for anyone who takes on multiple, whether it's directing and acting or producing and acting. It's not easy to take on those different hats.
So this movie sounds. There's a big genre out there right now in the book world called romptasy, which is romance and fantasy. It almost feels like it falls into that area a little bit. Often somebody who's got an unusually long lifespan, whatever it may be, Eve, and then a mortal. I think this could potentially really fit into what's really popular right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. It sounds like that might be already an audience that would be very open and interested. So what are they called? I'm sorry.
Romptasy. So it's like romance and fantasy.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So there's quite a few different series in that world.
Yeah, they're very big right now.
Very big. Lots of books. Lots of series. Book Talk is full of it. So
that could really work in our favor, just in terms of, because it sounds exactly the type of it would fit in that genre very well.
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because even pitching it for some distribution and things, having that genre, knowing that genre is really
Huge.
important. So thank you. That helps me
Yeah,
out a lot.
you'll need to scroll tonight. Scroll TikTok and Instagram.
TikTok, Rocketty. We'll chat afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate that. That's great.
Can you tease like who else is in the film yet? Or
In terms of the actors?
yeah.
Yeah, the lead actor, Eve, is Nicole Pistonik. She's a super, super talented actor. She's one of those people that it's like, I feel privileged that I got to work with her because I know she's going to have a lot of success. So, we didn't have we didn't have huge name actors, but I'm always amazed at the talent that's probably everywhere. But in LA, I just go, how do these people are not known actors sometimes? They're so talented and so good. So really was impressed. We had a great cast, and we worked on over 2 years of filming together. So I think we had about 36 shoot days, but it was spread out over 2 years. So we got to know each other very well.
You really became a family, I'm sure. So you filmed right in LA?
We filmed most of it in LA. We shot some of it up at Big Bear, which is a couple hours away up in the mountains. But yeah, all over LA, from the beach to the desert. My house actually turned into my house in the movie. So for about a year, my house was a film set.
Yes.
And because it was so spread out, you had to leave.
It was just, I had a Christmas tree up for, half the year in my house. And it was like, hey, just roll with it,
Perfect.
It's got to be there. We need the Christmas tree. Yeah. Always just claim you love Christmas. It's fine.
Yeah, you know what? My neighbors were just like, whatever. You have a Christmas tree in your living room all year. It's fine.
Love the twinkle lights. It's perfect. Yeah. It's completely normal, honestly. Yeah. No, this sounds like very good, and I'm really hoping that you guys get some great distribution out of it. I bet you'll get people biting on that. That's such a huge genre right now, and those types of stories are such a big thing out there right now. What is your dream for that movie, Believe?
I think, again, if we can get it distributed so it gets to a broader audience, I think that's always the dream and the goal. I just think I'm already so proud of what we were able to create from, it was a labor of love for so many of us, and really, so I think I just honestly reaching as many people as it can at this point, and we'll go from there. Obviously, it'd be nice to have it also lead to some other roles, and I think even a Hallmark type audience could be interested in it. That would watching your podcast made me realize, again, I'd love to tap into that genre some more as an actor, and it would make my mom extremely happy too to have a Hallmark movie. But I think there's some elements that would be similar to an audience for the Hallmark type of Christmas. This is not a Christmas movie, but it does center around family and relationships. Mm-hmm. So it would be one of those films that I would love everyone. Again, it's one of those films that I have friends and a lot of my extended family and stuff. I think we'll all really enjoy it as well. So that just getting it out there for them will be exciting too.
It sounds great. Do you have it sounds like you're working on a few dream projects right now, but is there a type of role or something else you really would love to create?
Well, there's a couple projects. I'd love to create a series about like with sports psychology. Yeah. So I work with our athletics. I do about halftime with athletics and halftime teaching, but the storylines of what athletes bring into my office are so interesting. Just from issues with teammates, with coaches, with family. There's so many storylines there that I think a show about a sports psychologist, you'd have like endless storylines just with the different, the different athletes, the different scenarios with coaches and teams, especially at a university. There's so many storylines there. So I think that would be really interesting. I was working with an athlete yesterday that a ball hit his face and smashed half of his face a few months ago, and he had to have his face completely like put back together by a plastic surgeon. Yep. And dealing with confidence and coming back and there's just a lot of different storylines. We have a lot of these medical procedurals and stuff, but we haven't really had something with like a sports psychologist. So that would be one series that I think would be really fun to develop. And then
I think that sounds amazing.
I feel like that's a winner. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like also just those stories will drive each episode. Like you'll have the longitudinal people in there, but your different athletes are going to drive, or their different problems will drive the episode. I can totally see this happening.
Yeah.
100%.
Or even, we have a grad student that was helping out with the team, and he's a young, good-looking guy. Asked one of the other athletes out, and she didn't want to go out with them, and so there's this whole drama. And I'm just thinking, there's so many interesting storylines.
I hope you've been keeping notes.
I have, yeah. So I have journals full of possible storylines.
So that age range has drama just built right in. So
and then another somewhat kind of related. I had a stalker student a few years ago that turned into like a legit stalker, and she would follow me home after class. She would send me emails and letters every day. She actually gave like a death threat to another student who she thought was interested in me. She ended up cutting like her hands and putting bloody handprints up on my door and said like, I want to be with you forever. And it went on from August until December. So it went on for like 4 months, and the university did nothing about it. They just, they basically kept saying, well, just, what did you do to provoke it? And I'm like, I didn't do anything. Just one night after class, she said, can I come talk about my thesis project? And jumped up on my desk and started crawling towards me going, we can't deny the attraction we have for each other. And I mean, I laugh about it now, but it was really
terrifying.
It was terrifying. Yeah. And so I think I've healed enough from that now that I think it would be a very interesting, either short film, or it probably could even be like a Lifetime type feature type.
I was going to say, this totally sounds
like Lifetime.
Yeah.
It's like perfect.
Yeah.
I even have the actress in mind that I want to play her. So
yeah, this feels like a Lifetime story 100%. We'll be there for it.
Do you dabble in writing too? Like, are you interested in writing your own scripts? Or
I like to write. It's a little bit intimidating, but I have one of my really good friends who's a casting director, but also writes for Hallmark. He's helping me, and then Stan Zimmerman, who I mentioned earlier, is a great writer, and I have some good mentors, and then I've just realized I have to just jump out and do it too.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen if I don't take that plunge. And so I'm doing that now, and I have a lot of creative ideas. It's just figuring out how to get that down on paper in the way that I want it to, which is a process. But but I do enjoy it. And I think the more comfortable I get, it's just a different type of writing than I've ever done. But I enjoy it.
Right. So which of your projects that are balls in the air will we be able to see first, or will it be someplace first?
Well, the 2-person show that I mentioned earlier, I think that's probably the most likely to be seen soon. We'll obviously have it in LA. I don't know if we'll bring it to other cities. I mean, that depends partly on how successful it is.
Do you have a theater in LA?
Obviously, Believe will be, probably the soonest, but that depends partly on distribution and things as well.
Right.
So,
do you have a theater in LA that the play will be at?
No, I have a few ideas in mind. Again, the connections I have. I've done a little bit of theater in LA. And then my writing mentors have some suggestions. So we don't have anything set in stone yet, but I definitely have a couple of ideas. LA doesn't have a huge theater scene, but there is some good theater that goes on, and definitely some interesting venues.
Okay, fun.
I love that. Jake, would you like to play our little holiday themed favorites game with us?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, perfect. Do you have a favorite holiday movie?
Oh, what's the one with Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet? They exchange homes. Is that the
yes.
Yeah.
The Holiday.
The Holiday? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one I pretty much watch every year. It's a fun one.
Always so good. You have a favorite holiday song?
Definitely "Oh Holy Night" on the piano. That's my favorite to play.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
It is beautiful.
I mean,
do you
that
sing
is always
too, or
second.
just play?
I'm better at playing than I am singing.
Okay, what about a favorite holiday tradition?
You know what? When I was growing up, we would go caroling with my grandma every Christmas Eve, and then we would she was a great baker, so she would bake like stuff for the neighbors, and we'd go around singing. And then we put up these like bags with candles in them, Lumieres, around the whole neighborhood. And then my grandpa raised Shetland ponies, and so we would always hook one of the Shetland ponies up to a sleigh and put antlers on it so it looked like a reindeer, and we'd go around and deliver the baked goods and sing on the Shetland pony drawn sleigh. And I don't know, there's just something, I mean, I felt like it was like a real sleigh, you know, when we were delivering presents. It's one of those like childhood memories like I'll never
magical
forget. Yeah, it was magical.
Your childhood is literally a Christmas card.
I know. It was.
It's like someone took a photo, the luminaires,
Yeah, no, it was.
Oh my gosh, that is so sweet. That is a beautiful tradition. Do you have a favorite holiday food?
My mom makes a bûche Noël, which is a French. I don't know even how to call it. Like it's a cake, but it's not really a cake. Anyway, I have one of those every year. So that would be
yum.
Do you make them too, or?
Well, I helped growing up. I've never made one on my own. I could probably do it, but I would assist mom in the kitchen making it. But she was the one that really did it.
Perfect.
Love that. Okay, here's one that's non-holiday related. But what's something you're currently watching or binging?
I just binged Nobody Wants This on Netflix, and I really enjoyed that.
So did everybody, right? It was great.
Yeah.
I love that. And then non-holiday, do you have a favorite musician or band, or I'm going to add in piano piece?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going through an oldies phase right now. So Beatles and Simon and Garfunkel. I don't know. I'm going through that phase right now. That's my playlist at the gym.
Okay, perfect. Little Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Yeah, all of that.
Love that. That's a great phase. That's a fantastic phase to be going through.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just about 6 months ago I entered that phase, and I'm in it. I don't know how long, but it's been fun.
It's a good phase. Well, the amount of music in there for you to pick from is massive. They have massive music, so it's lots of great stuff. There's a reason these people are iconic, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And people, yeah, exactly. Icons. Well, Jake, tell everybody where they can find you on social media and where they can look for all this information about when your projects are coming out.
Yeah, my social media handle is Jake Jensen Media, and that's on Instagram and TikTok and X, Twitter. So that's the easiest way to get me. And I do actually check my direct messages on those and try to respond.
Awesome.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was really fun to get to know you and to learn about your projects. Exciting. Yeah. I'm really excited I'm excited for both of them. I would love to come see this play.
Me too. I like that. That is very much something I would love to see.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. It's nice because that's actually this is the first time I've talked about it in a public forum, and so it's nice. There's something powerful about speaking it out loud, and then to hear that people would be interested in seeing it. That means a lot to me. So I appreciate it.
Sounds like it'd be so emotionally impactful.
Exactly the words I would use. Yeah.
Your vision is fantastic. For those listening or watching, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us on Spotify too.
Yes. And thank you again, Jake, for being here. And thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.